Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please settle down. We are about to start the program. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the speaker and the chief guest here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee was one of the most iconic leaders produced by modern India. He was a great thought leader, a great visionary, a statesman, a great parliamentarian, and above all, a great human being. A poet. He actually built up Bharatiya Janata Party after it split away from Janata Party, and he's credited with a lot of reforms that modern India sees today. And we at India Foundation celebrate his birthday by organizing an Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture every year. As you all know, his birthday falls on 25th December, so invariably we do it before or after that. And this year, for this 8th Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture, we have a great luminary, His Excellency Faisal Naseem, the former Vice President of Maldives. And to chair the session, we have Shri Vijay Goyal, a former minister in Atalji's government. But before I invite the guests onto the stage, we would like to screen a short clip about the lectures and Atalji for all of you to see and admire.
Probably one of the greatest orators that India has seen. A product of parliamentary democracy. A man who always measured his words. A man who had the capacity to place national interest higher than his own party. An excellent poet who used the facility of language that he possessed to pierce and penetrate every point that he wanted to make. His era spread through generations. What do I regard as his greatest achievement? Indian democracy, because of two political parties as national parties, became a viable parliamentary democracy.
As a statesman and a political stalwart, he dominated the national space for a very long period of time. As a Prime Minister, he kept the nation first. As an opposition leader, he was sharp but matured in his critique. As a Democrat, he was one of the few leaders who thought of every angle before taking a decision.
He fast-tracked development in various sectors, ranging from air connectivity, rail connectivity, port connectivity, even political connectivity also. And he was able to provide a able leadership and also a stable government.
Atalji was much more than a politician. He was essentially a sensitive and compassionate soul. So he naturally took to poetry to give expression to his anguish and pain caused by the poverty, by the backwardness and degradation in which his own people were living.
सुशासन के जरिए समाज के हर वर्ग को सशक्त बनाना वाजपेयी जी का जीवन दर्शन था।
Atal Bihari Vajpayee had an instinct understanding of this nation building exercise and the need to maintain the unity of India's diverse people. His relationship with Pandit Sri Nehru fascinated me as it contained a high degree of respect for Nehru as a person but a biting criticism of Nehruvian policies. His tribute to Nehru is an outstanding speech. Bharata Mata has lost a prince. The leader is gone. The followers remain.
टूटे हुए सपने की सुने कौन सिसकी, टूटे हुए सपने की सुने कौन सिसकी, अंतर को चीर व्यथा पलकों पर ठिठकी, हार नहीं मानूंगा रार नहीं ठानूंगा, काल के कपाल पर लिखता मिटाता हूँ, गीत नया गाता हूँ, गीत नया गाता हूँ।
I'll now request His Excellency Fazil Naseem, Shri Vijay Goyal and Dr. Ram Madhav to kindly come to the stage. I'll now request Dr. Ram Madhav, President India Foundation, to kindly take on the proceedings.
His Excellency, former Vice President of the Republic of Maldives, Shri Faisal Naseem, former Union Minister and Vice Chairman of the Gandhi Smriti, Shri Vijay Goyal ji, all the distinguished participants in this 8th Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture, friends, let me at the outset greet all our Christian colleagues a Merry Christmas, and to all others, shortly we are going to enter the new year, so Happy New Year. Friends, the India Foundation has started this series called the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lectures in 2018, the same year as the passing of that great leader. Vajpayee ji passed away on 16th August 2018. That year we decided to institute this series of memorial lectures in his honor. We know as Indians, we cherish the memory of Vajpayee ji. In his first lecture, first memorial lecture, Arun Jaitley ji said that Vajpayee ji's era spread over generations. I would like to add that his aura spreads across centuries. Vajpayee ji's personality was such that generations to come would remember him as one of the great leaders produced by independent India. We have seen a short video in which we have been able to read some of his thoughts. One leader who has many firsts to his credit was the genuinely first non-Congress leader to rise to become the Prime Minister of India. I'm saying genuinely non-Congress because there were parties which were opposition to the Congress, but all of them were splinter parties of the Congress only. So genuinely non-Congress, ideologically, philosophically, genuinely first non-Congress Prime Minister in a way was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And the first leader to show that coalitions can function. India has had coalitions after 1984, rather 1989. 1984 was the last full majority government. But those coalitions were always considered as compulsions, political compulsions. Vajpayee used to say that no, coalitions are not to be seen, not to be viewed just as compulsions of politics, but they should be taken as the representation of the aspiration of the people. So we have to run coalitions as representative of the aspiration of the people. And he was the first successful Prime Minister to run a 23-party coalition for full 5 years. The word coalition dharma was in a way the product of his politics. How to run a successful coalition, one probably should learn from Atalji's experience, his humility, his connectivity with different sections of the political sphere, irrespective of ideological differences. That made it possible to run successful coalitions. And incidentally, he was, on our side, on the BJP side, he was the first Prime Minister to have taken oath 3 times as Prime Minister. The next is Shri Narendra Modi ji, current Prime Minister. So BJP Prime Ministers have a history. Once they are there, they will be there at least for 3 terms. 3 times they will take oath. So we are, Atalji's life, there is so much to learn. His life was a book and an open book. One of the greatest strengths of Vajpayee ji was that he was not a split personality. Whatever he was before the entire nation. He always, as Alok ji mentioned, he always kept nation above everything else. And some of those who followed those years closely, you will get that clip even now on YouTube. His very famous speech in 1996, while demitting office after 13 days in power, that famous speech in which he says in the end, "Partiya banegi bigdegi." सरकारें आएगी जाएगी, पर ये देश रहना चाहिए, देश का लोकतंत्र अमर रहना चाहिए. Parties come and go. Governments are formed and governments go. But the nation should remain and this democracy should always survive. That was his commitment that made him the real Bharat Ratna of our country. He was awarded with the Bharat Ratna in 2015. We are very grateful for His Excellency, our former Vice President of Maldives, Mr. Faisal Naseem, to have agreed to come and deliver the 8th Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture. Maldives is a very important neighbor of India in the Indian Ocean. We value our relationship with that country. And interestingly, you have seen today's topic. We have requested Excellency to speak on the Maldivian experience about democracy. Maldives is a young democracy, I would say. Not even 2 decades, less than 2 decades of experience. But we are living in a neighborhood where democracies struggle. Maldives presents a very reassuring example that democracies in various different settings also can succeed. In the last about 17, 18 years of its democratic existence, Maldives has seen definitely a very inspiring type of democratic functioning. Not that that country did not have challenges. For that matter, we who are proud of our democratic credentials, we have had our own history of 1975 to 77, 2 years of dictatorship. We have seen it. But Maldives presents a different kind of example for us because incidentally Maldives is one of those 25 countries in the world which constitutionally declared itself as an Islamic state. Out of the 25, hardly 3 or 4 are democracies. I'm not commenting on the virtue or otherwise of other countries, but I'm saying Islam, democracy and peace, how these 3 can coexist. There is one very good example in the case of Maldives. So we requested His Excellency to enlighten us about the Maldivian experience, how they manage democracy, commitment to Islam, but also strong faith in maintaining peace and all, how that country has been able to achieve it. I'm sure we will have a very inspiring lecture, 8th Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture from His Excellency. We are also glad to have Shri Vijay Goyalji, and I was just telling him, those who worked, you say under Vajpayee ji or with Vajpayee ji. I mean, Vajpayee ji के साथ जो काम किए वो कह सकते हैं कि वो under कभी नहीं होता था. वो with Vajpayee ji होता था. So those who have worked, who had that great good fortune of working in his government, very few of them are still there actively working in the public life. Sri Vijay ji happens to be one of them. And Vijay ji has the experience of not only Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji's government, he served as a cabinet minister in Vajpayee ji's government, but also he served as a cabinet minister in Modi ji's Modi 1.0 government. So he has the vast experience as a minister in the government of BJP. Currently, he is heading Gandhi Smriti as vice chairman. Prime Minister is the chairman, and Vijay ji is the vice chairman. He will talk about his experience about Atalji and all. We are thankful to both the distinguished speakers, and I also thank all of you for joining in this evening's Atalji's Memorial Lecture. It shows your respect and reverence for Atalji, his personality and his memory. Thank you and welcome.
I'll now request Vijay Goyalji to say a few words to the audience.
मॉरिशस के पूर्व उपराष्ट्रपति फैसल नसीम साहब, इंडिया फाउंडेशन के फाउंडर राम माधव जी, मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि आज अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी के 100वें जन्मदिवस के अवसर के ऊपर उसकी पूर्व संध्या पर मुझे आज 8वीं अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी मेमोरियल लेक्चर में बुलाया गया है। इस मंच पर बोलना मेरे लिए एक फॉर्मेलिटी नहीं बल्कि भाव का क्षण है। मुझे सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ कि मैं 50 सालों से अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी को जानता हूं, उनके साथ मुझे काम करने का मौका मिला। राम माधव जी ने तो मुझे इसलिए बुलाया कि वाजपेयी जी के साथ काम करने वाले बहुत थोड़े लोग बचे हैं, उनमें से एक विजय गोयल है, तो उन्होंने कहा उसको ही बुला के पूछें कि वाजपेयी के क्या एक्सपीरियंस थे जी। पर मेरे अनुभव बहुत हैं जी वाजपेयी जी के बारे में। मुझे याद है जब हम यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर प्रेसिडेंट होते थे तब से हम वाजपेयी जी को जानते थे। वे केवल एक महान राजनेता नहीं थे बल्कि शांति, लोकतंत्र और संवाद के जीवन प्रतीक थे। I want to welcome His Highness Faisal Naseem, former Vice President of Maldives. I don't know how much he knows Atal Bihari Vajpayee, but both Mr. Vajpayee and Faisal Naseem are known for their deep respect for constitutional democracy, personal integrity, and the power of dialogue over confrontation. We can give him a great applause. मैं अपने दोस्त राम माधव जी को भी बधाई देना चाहता हूँ, जो एक प्रमुख विचारक, लेखक, राजनीतिक मामलों के जानकार, विदेश नीति के जानकार हैं। और हर साल अटल जी का जन्मदिवस जो है गुड गवर्नेंस डे के रूप में मनाया जाता है, और जो इंडिया फाउंडेशन है उसका एक मोटो गुड गवर्नेंस भी है जाके। हालांकि अब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 12 साल गवर्नेंस कर ली है और बहुत अच्छी गवर्नेंस कर रहे हैं, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि गुड गवर्नेंस तो उनको दे दी जानी चाहिए और वाजपेयी जी के साथ लिखना चाहिए गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग डे। उससे अच्छा आदमी मैं नहीं समझता कि देखने को इंसान मिलेगा आपको। हमारे देश में महात्मा गांधी सबसे बड़े महापुरुष हैं और मेरे पास अभी गांधी स्मृति के वाइस चेयरमैन की जिम्मेदारी है। जैसा बताया, हमारे चेयरमैन प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं और महात्मा गांधी का पूरा जीवन अन्याय के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ने में गया और साथ ही हिंदू मुस्लिम एकता के अंदर। मालूम नहीं उस समय हिंदू मुस्लिम एकता में वो कितने सफल हुए, पर देश का विभाजन जो है वो जरूर हो गया था जाके। मुझे वाजपेयी जी के साथ प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस में मिनिस्टर में काम करने का भी मौका मिला और मैं समझता हूँ वो मेरे लिए बहुत ही बड़ा एक्सपीरियंस था। दरअसल तो वाजपेयी जी राजनीति के अंदर आना नहीं चाहते थे जी, वो तो एक पत्रकार थे, साहित्यकार थे। किंतु जब डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी कश्मीर में गए और बिना परमिट लिए घुसे थे, उस समय वो एक देश एक निशान के मुद्दे के ऊपर, और उनको गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया था और अस्पताल में उनकी मृत्यु हो गई थी, तब उन्होंने वाजपेयी को कहा था मेरे अधूरे कामों को पूरा करना जी। इसलिए जो वाजपेयी जी उस समय राजनीति के अंदर आए थे, वरना तो हम सब जानते हैं पांचजन्य, राष्ट्र धर्म, वीर अर्जुन, स्वदेश, इन सब अखबारों के साथ वो जुड़े हुए थे। और उसके बाद वाजपेयी जी लगातार श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी, दीनदयाल उपाध्याय और उनके साथ काम करते हुए एक कार्यकर्ता के रूप में आगे बढ़े थे जाके। वाजपेयी जी की सबसे बड़ी जो खूबी है वो है उनका स्माइलिंग फेस। जितने वो सौम्य हैं, संवेदनशील, मर्यादित और भाषा के अंदर प्रांगत हैं, मैं नहीं समझता दूसरा कोई व्यक्ति मिलेगा यहाँ पे। वाजपेयी जी को जब मैं पूछा करता था, वाजपेयी जी आप सबसे ज़्यादा मिस क्या करते हैं, तो वो कहते थे सबसे ज़्यादा मैं फक्कड़पन को मिस करता हूँ जी। और वाजपेयी ऐसे थे, अभी हम उनके ऊपर एक कॉफ़ी टेबल बुक तैयार कर रहे हैं और आप सच मानिए उस कॉफ़ी टेबल बुक में आप उनका हमेशा मुस्कुराता, हंसता और ठाका लगाते हुए चेहरा देखेंगे जाके जी। और इसीलिए वाजपेयी जी को कवि सम्मेलनों में, नाटकों में, फिल्मों में, गानों में, उनमें बहुत रुचि थी, जो शायद उनके राजनीति के अंदर दब से गए जी। उर्दू शायरी का भी उनको शौक था जाके। और 47 साल तक वो सांसद रहे, विदेश मंत्री रहे, मंत्री रहे, प्रधानमंत्री रहे। और वाजपेयी के बारे में मैं ये कह सकता हूँ, वो पद से नहीं, वाजपेयी हमेशा कद से जाने जाते थे। उनके जितना बड़ा कद किसी का नहीं था जाके। विरोधियों को भी अपने साथ लेकर कैसे चलना है वो जानते थे जी। विरोधियों की भी कैसे तारीफ करनी है वो जानते थे जी। कभी उन्होंने किसी अफसर का कोई लाभ नहीं उठाया। खुद वाजपेयी जी ने बताया मुझे एक बार कि जिस समय उनकी किडनी के अंदर प्रॉब्लम थी और राजीव गांधी जो थे वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, और तब उनके पास इतने फाइनेंशियल कैपेबिलिटीज़ नहीं थी कि वो अपना इलाज करा सकते यूएसए के अंदर, तो राजीव गांधी ने उनको उस डेलीगेशन, यूएस से जाने वाले डेलीगेशन का सदस्य बनाया, और सारा खर्चा जो था वो उस समय राजीव गांधी ने उठाया था। और ये तारीफ कौन कर रहे हैं? स्वयं अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी तारीफ कर रहे हैं। इसीलिए विरोधी भी उनको बहुत मानते थे। एक बार मैं कांग्रेस सांसद के यहाँ बैठा हुआ था और बातचीत चल रही थी उसके घर के ऊपर, और तभी उसने कहा गोयल साहब मुझे तो निकलना है। मैंने कहा कहाँ निकलना है? मैं बैठा हुआ हूँ। कहने का वाजपेयी जी का भाषण संसद में शुरू होने वाला है, मैं उसको सुनने जाना चाहता हूँ जाके। ऐसे वाजपेयी थे जिनके भाषणों को सुनने के लिए हम रामलीला मैदान के अंदर पैदल चले जाया करते थे। उस समय बसों में भर के लोगों को लाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती थी जी। उस समय लोग स्वयं भाषण सुनने के लिए उनके जाया करते थे जाके। कभी उन्होंने व्यक्तिगत अटैक नहीं किया किसी के ऊपर जाके जी, चाहे वो उनके कितने भी विरोधी क्यों ना रहे हों जी। और देश हित के मामलों में उन्होंने हमेशा समर्थन किया। उनके बारे में हमेशा कहा जाता है कि बांग्लादेश का जब युद्ध हुआ तो उन्होंने श्रीमती गांधी को पूरा समर्थन दिया था और दुर्गा तक कह डाला था। हालांकि उन्होंने कहा कि मैंने दुर्गा तो नहीं कहा था, पर हमने कहा था जहां भी देश हित के मामले आएंगे हमारी पार्टी और हम सबसे आगे आपके साथ मिलकर काम करेंगे जाके। और यही कारण था कि नरसिम्हा राव ने, जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, उन्होंने उनको यूनाइटेड नेशंस भेज दिया था डेलीगेशन का प्रमुख बनाकर, कश्मीर के मामलों के ऊपर अपना विचार रखने के लिए। और पाकिस्तान के जब प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे उस समय बेनज़ीर भुट्टो ये देखकर दंग थी कि इनके तो विरोधी दल के नेता डिफेंड करने के लिए आए हुए हैं, पाकिस्तान क्या करेगा अब जाके। ऐसे वाजपेयी थे जी। ऐसे वाजपेयी थे जिन्होंने कभी मैन्यूवर करने की कोई कोशिश नहीं की। आप लोगों को ध्यान होगा जब एक वोट से सरकार उनकी गिर गई थी, एक वोट से सरकार गिर गई, और वो सरकार इसलिए गिरी थी कि उस समय के जो गिरधर गोमांग थे, जो उड़ीसा के मुख्यमंत्री थे, उनका वोट पड़ेगा या नहीं पड़ेगा, क्योंकि वो मुख्यमंत्री थे भी और सांसद भी थे, ये तय करना था स्पीकर को। और स्पीकर हमारे द्वारा ही निर्वाचित किया जाता है, हमारे द्वारा ही बनाया जाता है। उसके बाद भी कभी वाजपेयी ने उनको मैसेज देने की कोशिश नहीं की कि आप हमारे पक्ष में करो, और वो सरकार एक वोट से गिर गई थी। और इतने संवेदनशील थे वाजपेयी कि उनको सुख सुख लगते थे, दुख दुख लगते थे। कि जब वो सरकार गिरी थी तो मैं उस कमरे में मौजूद था जब उनको भी फूट फूट के रो पड़े थे कि अभी अब दोबारा चुनावों के अंदर इस देश को जाना पड़ेगा और इसका क्या लाभ होने वाला है जाके जी। और इसीलिए 24 पार्टियों की सरकार अगर कोई चला सकता था तो वो वाजपेयी जैसा इंसान चला सकता था। 24 लोग अलग अलग पार्टियों के, अलग विचारों के। और जब किसी ने उनसे इंटरव्यू के अंदर पूछा कि आपने तो सारे अलग अलग तत्व इकट्ठे कर लिए हैं और आप सेकुलरिज्म की बात कर रहे हो, तो सेकुलरिज्म कैसे रहेगा? तो उन्होंने कहा, वाजपेयी ने कहा, हमारे देश के अंदर जो भी धर्मनिरपेक्षता है वो इसलिए नहीं है कि वो बीजेपी या आरएसएस के कारण है। उन्होंने कहा इसलिए है कि ये जो 82% हिंदू भावना है और हिंदू संस्कार हैं, उसके कारण इस देश के अंदर जो है सेकुलरिज्म है, और किसी कारण से नहीं है। ये वाजपेयी ने कहा था। कहीं आप सोच रहे हो कि कोई हम किसी मैनिफेस्टो के कारण है या उसी के कारण है या बीजेपी आरएसएस के कारण है? उन्होंने कहा नहीं, ये हिंदू विचारों के कारण है कि इस देश के अंदर हमारे यहाँ सेकुलरिज्म, धर्मनिरपेक्षता है। जनता का विश्वास देखिए, एक उदाहरण देखिए जी। वाजपेयी जी लाहौर बस यात्रा लेकर गए थे, इसलिए कि वो जानते थे कि पड़ोसियों को बदला नहीं जा सकता, उनके साथ संबंध जो हैं वो अच्छे रहने चाहिए। पड़ोसियों को बदला नहीं जा सकता, उनके साथ अच्छे संबंध होने चाहिए। इसलिए वाजपेयी जी लाहौर बस यात्रा ले गए और वहाँ से जवाब मिला कारगिल का जाके, और उसके बाद आगरा वार्ता हुई और वो फेल हो गई। उसके बाद पार्लियामेंट अटैक हो गया। पर आप देखिए देश की जनता का विश्वास वाजपेयी के साथ बना रहा, कभी डिगा नहीं रहा। उनको ये लगा वाजपेयी के हाथों के अंदर देश सुरक्षित है, ऐसे वाजपेयी की छवि थी पूरे देश के अंदर जाके। और यही कारण था कि आज भी वाजपेयी चाहते हैं कि पड़ोसी देशों के अंदर से हमारे जो हैं अच्छे से अच्छे संबंध रहें। अपने प्रधानमंत्री के काल में 99 से 2000 चीज के बीच अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी ने भारत और मालदीव संबंधों में को नई रणनीतिक गहराई प्रदान की थी। इसका सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण है 2002 का उनका ऐतिहासिक मालदीव दौरा था, जो कई वर्षों तो बाद किसी भारतीय प्रधानमंत्री की पहली यात्रा थी, जिसने 1988 के तख्ता पलट प्रयास के दौरान भारत की समय पर सहायता से बने विश्वास पर आधारित विशेष संबंध की पुनः पुष्टि की थी। जी, अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी का मानना था ये साहब, शक्ति संवाद से आती है, लोकतंत्र विश्वास से चलता है और धर्म का उद्देश्य जोड़ना होना चाहिए, तोड़ना नहीं होना चाहिए। ऐसे ही वाजपेयी थे। ऐसे वाजपेयी को आइए ताली बजाकर हम जन्मदिन की शुभकामनाएं दे दें। उनका ये 100वां वर्षकाल है। मैं एक बार पुनः बधाई देता हूं राम माधव जी को इतना अच्छा सेमिनार रखने के लिए।
Thank you, Vijay ji, for elucidating the qualities of that Mahamanav, Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. I'll now request His Excellency Faisal Naseem, former Vice President of Maldives, to speak on the subject Peace, Democracy and Islam, the Maldivian Experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the good words towards me, and I feel very good to be here, spending my time with all of you. Maldives is not very far from India. We've been connected, well connected, so I wish most of them will travel to Maldives in the future. Guest of honor, respected members, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to you all. It is a privilege to speak at this memorial lecture in honor of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. This year marks the birth centenary of a statesman whose legacy continues to shape India's democratic journey and the wider neighborhood of which the Maldives is a part. I speak today from a small island nation in the Indian Ocean, a Muslim society, and a young democracy. The identities matter because they shape how we understand peace, governance, and responsibility in an increasingly complex and uncertain world. Maldives and India are close neighbors. The ocean lies between us, but our history and culture brings us together. We share the same dream, peace and prosperity in South Asia. Peace is often described as an outcome, but leaders like Vajpayee ji understood peace as a practice that is cultivated through restraint, dialogue, and respect for institutions. Coming from a society where community and tradition play an important role, we in the Maldives have learned that peace is sustained not by uniformity, but by balance. It is preserved when differences are managed with dignity and when power is exercised with moderation. Vajpayee ji demonstrated that firmness and civility can coexist. His politics showed that leadership can be decisive without being a divisive lesson of enduring relevance in an era marked by polarization. Vajpayee was also an accomplished poet, and his poetry spoke of hope and restraint. It reflected a belief that power must be tempered by humanity. Democracy at its best is more than elections. It is an ethical framework for governing diversity. Atal Bihari Vajpayee spent many years in opposition, yet he never allowed political contestation to undermine institutional respect. He believed Parliament mattered, not because it was flawless, but because it embodied the people's voice. For the Maldives, this example resonates deeply. Our democratic transition in 2008 marked a decisive shift from centralized authority to constitutional governance. Like India, our democracy has faced moments of strain, yet it has endured because our people believed in accountability, checks and balances, and peaceful political competition. Vajpayee's idea of a grand coalition offers lessons for far beyond India. It reminds us that compromise is not weakness and inclusion is not inefficiency. An ethic especially vital for small, closely knit societies. Democracies in the Maldives has meant dignity and security for ordinary people. Through successive democratic governments, we built a safety net that protects citizens at every stage of life. Universal health care, so no one is pushed into poverty by illness. Pensions that give our elders independence, minimum wages and income support that safeguard workers in times of crisis, and free higher education that allows our youth to dream without the burden of debt. This is what democracy delivers: protection, opportunity, and shared prosperity for all Maldivians. In our journey of democracy and development, India has been our closest companion. The story of our partnership is written in deeds, not words. Ladies and gentlemen, the Maldives' relationship with India is built not merely on proximity, but on trust earned through actions over time. During Atal Bihari Vajpayee's tenure, the relationship gained renewed depth and clarity. His visit to the Maldives in 2002 symbolized India's enduring commitment to its neighbors. His support for human capital development, including the establishment of the Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Studies, reflected a belief that development begins with people. Even earlier in 1988, when the Maldives faced an existential threat to its sovereignty, India responded swiftly and decisively. That assistance was marked by effectiveness and restraint, restoring stability and withdrawing without condition. This act left a lasting imprint on Maldivian strategic thinking. Such moments are not forgotten. They form the foundation of confidence between a large democracy and a small island state. Excellencies, Atal Bihari Vajpayee understood that Indian Ocean would be central to Asia's stability and prosperity. He recognized that maritime security is not only about naval strength, but about secure sea lanes, cooperative surveillance, and trust among neighbors. During his tenure, India's maritime outlook evolved towards a more outward-looking, cooperative approach, one that viewed the Indian Ocean as a shared space rather than a contested arena. This strategic sensibility laid early foundation for India's later leaderships in regional maritime cooperation. For the Maldives, located at the heart of key sea lanes, maritime security is existential. Our economy, our connectivity, and our environmental survival depends on safe and open oceans. Today, Vajpayee's legacy is visible in India-Maldives cooperation at sea, capacity building for our Coast Guard, maritime domain awareness, hydrographic cooperation, search and rescue coordination, and joint responses to emergencies. These efforts enhance security without militarizing our waters and cooperation without compromising sovereignty. This is security built on partnership, not projections. It reflects Vajpayee's belief that stability comes from confidence building, not coercion, and that regional security must be inclusive to be sustainable. Over time, India's relationship with the Maldives has evolved from a reliable first responder to a comprehensive development partner. In recent years, this partnership has been visible in every tangible ways. During the COVID-19 pandemic, India delivered vaccines early and reliably, helping the Maldives protect its population and reopen its economy. This support was timely, practical, and life-saving. Beyond the pandemic, India has supported community development projects across our islands, health centers, schools, water and sanitation systems, fisheries facilities, youth and sports infrastructure. These projects may be modest in scale, but they are profound in impact. Large-scale connectivity and infrastructure initiatives, bridges, transport networks, housing and airports developments are reshaping economic opportunities across the Maldives. They decentralize growth and strengthen national resilience. This approach mirrors Vajpayee's conviction that connectivity is a social good. His emphasis on infrastructure was never just about construction. It was about inclusion. That philosophy continues to guide India's engagement with the Maldives. India has always been the first responder in our times of need, but today, this partnership has grown. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision and the past and present leadership of the Maldives, it has evolved. During my time as Vice President in the MDP-led government, I saw this change. India is no longer only the responder to our crisis. India is our partner in prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, We mark progress in a world gripped by crisis. Conflict is rising, civilians are paying the price, and from Gaza to Ukraine, Sudan to Myanmar, war continues to scar our shared community. At the same time, climate impacts are intensifying. For countries like the Maldives, climate change is not a statistic. It is an existential threat. For small island states, international rules are our shields. When they are weakened, we are the first to feel. India's rise, grounded in democracy and conscience, therefore carries global meaning. As the voice of the global South and a Vishwabandh to the world, India has shown what responsible leadership looked like. Honoring Vajpayee's legacy today means championing peace, protecting the vulnerable, and ensuring that global order serve the weak as much as the strong. Ladies and gentlemen, Atal Bihari Vajpayee once observed that while history can be shaped, geography cannot. Geography places India and the Maldives in a shared maritime space linked by security, commerce, and environmental vulnerability. Our shared responsibility is to ensure that this region remains anchored in peace, democratic values, and mutual respect. From the Maldives, we remember Vajpayee not only as a former Prime Minister of India, but as a statesman who understood that leadership is ultimately about service to one's people, to one's neighbors, and to future generations. May his legacy continue to inspire moderation over excess, cooperation over confrontation, and partnership over mistrust. Before concluding, I thank the India Foundation for this honor. To deliver the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture is a privilege I hold deeply. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share the voice of the Maldives in memory of a leader whose vision continues to guide us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for that wonderful talk. I'll now request Sri Ashok Mittal, Trustee, India Foundation, to kindly come onto the stage and felicitate the guests. I'll request him to kindly felicitate His Excellency Faisal Naseem. We'll request him to felicitate Sri Vijay Goyal ji. Thank you, Ashok ji. I'll now request General Dhruv Katoch, Director, India Foundation, to kindly propose a vote of thanks.
Namaskar. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to deliver the vote of thanks as we conclude the 8th edition of the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Memorial Lecture held to honor the memory and legacy of Vajpayee ji, a statesman whose life exemplified democratic conviction, moral courage, and an unwavering commitment to peace. Vajpayee ji firmly believed that democracy draws its strength from dialogue, that peace is sustained through restraint and empathy, and that governance must always be guided by ethical responsibility. His vision of India was inclusive, confident, and outward-looking, rooted in civilizational value, yet responsive to the challenges of a changing world. It is this enduring legacy that the India Foundation seeks to commemorate each year through this memorial lecture. It has been indeed a privilege to have His Excellency, Mr. Faisal Naseem, the former Vice President of the Republic of Maldives, deliver this year's memorial address. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Excellency, for taking time out from a very busy schedule to be with us on this important occasion. Your address on peace, democracy, and Islam was both insightful and thought-provoking. Your nuanced and balanced perspective on the compatibility of democratic principles with Islamic values underscores the importance of moderation, dialogue, and inclusivity in fostering peaceful and resilient societies. Your reflections have added a valuable international and civilizational dimension to this memorial lecture. Thank you once again for your gracious presence and contribution. We also extend our sincere gratitude to Shri Vijay Goel, who has been a former Union Minister both in the Vajpayee government and in the Modi government, as a guest of honor and for being with us here today. Thank you, sir. We are especially thankful to him for sharing his personal recollections and reflections on Vajpayee ji. His words offered us a rare and intimate glimpse into the leadership, humility, and humanity of a leader who left an indelible mark on India's political and moral landscape. Taken together, the reflections shared today truly honor the spirit of Vajpayee ji, his faith in dialogue and over confrontation, his respect for pluralism, and his belief that peace and democracy are mutually reinforcing. I would also like to thank all our distinguished guests for being with us to commemorate the legacy of Vajpayee ji. Your presence today reaffirms that the principles he lived by continue to guide and flourish in Bharat. I again express our sincere gratitude to His Excellency, Mr. Faisal Naseem, Shri Vijay Goel, and to all of you for your gracious presence. As today is Christmas Eve, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very happy and peaceful, prosperous 2026. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind. Look.
बॉक्स में है रखवा दीजिए